It's Wellness Nerd Out time! How you guys doing? Happy Wellness Nerd Out time, you guys. And today we are going to be talking about sleep. And we're going to be talking about it in a different regard than usually it is discussed, where we always talk about how bad it is to not get enough sleep. And today we're going to talk about getting too much sleep. Can you get too much sleep? Is it actually bad for you? What's the scientific evidence and backing for these claims? Because some sources do say too much sleep ain't good for you. Here's what we think at When Wellness. At least we'll tell you here in a minute. But first, to start, now all these studies done that show oversleeping to be associated with things like obesity or diabetes or depression or cardiovascular disease or even increased risk for death. Well, in these studies, they were done majorly on people with lower socioeconomic status, right? That suffer from depression and have low socioeconomic status. So really, how accurate are these claims, right? And that's a big caveat that they always kind of put into these studies, right? Is there a correlation there with the sleep and what's actually going wrong with people? Because if you take somebody with lower socioeconomic status in general and they are less inclined to get health care or maybe have less access to health care, or somebody that's on disability, right, and their daily schedule is a little bit different than the CEO of Apple, who will wake up and probably have a very productive day and can't afford to sleep all day, right? There are a lot of factors, you get the point, playing into this, where maybe it's not due to the sleep. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. All right. So when we talk about sleeping too much, it's actually, there's a medical term for that called hypersomnia. And hypersomnia is characterized by somebody either sleeping for excessive amounts of time throughout the night, or somebody that gets normal sleep throughout the night, and then when they wake up, they're so tired all day and they feel the need to take naps and more naps, and they take naps and it doesn't help. They still feel tired. They take naps, they still feel tired, right? And with hypersomnia, some symptoms that coincide here are anxiety, low energy levels, and even memory problems. So, that comes with, hypersomnia, but why are these people feeling tired? Is it just because they slept too much? Or is it other things going on? And let's take one possible cause, for people not getting good quality sleep at night, and that's obstructive sleep apnea. And obstructive sleep apnea is characterized by intermittent periods of disrupted sleep, right? Where in the sense that, you stop breathing temporarily, right? Not long enough to, suffer brain damage or something like that. But you temporarily stop breathing, and so this disrupts your sleep cycle. And so you wake up not feeling well rested. You didn't get that good quality sleep, right? And aside from obstructive sleep apnea, there are many other reasons why if you were getting a lot of sleep, you don't feel so good the next day. Well, some things could be, or we should say you feel like you didn't get enough sleep, right? And you feel groggy and whatnot. And some of those reasons are, drinking alcohol, right? We all know how we feel the next day, right? And you don't get that same quality sleep. Being on medications, of course, another one, being depressed, right? And just doing excessive or difficult, physical or mental tasks that make you feel like you need to sleep more. And some people sleep more just because they enjoy how they feel after they've slept a lot. And they feel great and they have good productive days. And personally, that's me. I feel better the more sleep I get. And that's just a personal account. But, you take it how you want. So when they talk about the recommended amount of sleep, even in these sources like WebMD that say you can oversleep, but they do mention, again, the fact that it's associated with low socioeconomic status, and depression is, sleeping too much, and people not feeling good with sleeping too much, of course. what was I saying here? So yeah, we're losing track. What do we? Gino, what's up, man? How you doing? Nebnard, what's going on? Thank you guys for hopping on. So when we talk about these things like diabetes and obesity, well, actually, diabetes and obesity, they're either due to people are not getting enough sleep or they're getting too much sleep, increasing your risk for both of those. So we could kind of throw that out the window. That's not associated per se in particular with oversleeping. Of course, that would be ridiculous to think that. I think when you talk about depression is actually more associated with insomnia, not being able to sleep as much. So, and I think, along the same lines, what's up, brother? Along the same lines of, anxiety, like we talk about anxiety and depression and things like that, and people's minds racing and keeping them up at night. It's more of an issue of not sleeping enough. So it doesn't seem that the culprit here is getting too much sleep, once again. Now, one interesting thing that they found, people who are on a normal sleep schedule that are prone to getting headaches, if they sleep for a prolonged period of time, one day out of the week, where they're, again, their body's not used to it, maybe it will throw off their sleep-wake cycle, their circadian rhythm. Well, when they wake up in the morning, they're more likely to have head pain and suffering these morning headaches after one night of, excessive amounts of sleep. They think is due to neurotransmitter imbalances such as serotonin. So I thought that was pretty fascinating, for the person that's used to getting a certain amount of hours. And what that kind of tells us more than anything is, if you have this regimen, if you have a consistent routine, your body responds well to consistency, right? It's not so black and white that you should be doing one thing or the other, but if you do keep it consistent, generally your body has adapted to that, and it might respond poorly if you just kind of, throw the wheels off one day. You do something totally out of the blue and it doesn't understand why, and it is stressed. It releases cortisol because it doesn't understand what's going on and it's not used to it, right? So maybe that's associated with that study I was reading, and again, most all this is from WebMD. If you're curious and you want to go check it out yourself. For those people with headaches in the morning that are prone to getting headaches, right, due to serotonin imbalance, for example. Now, one interesting thing it said on WebMD, people with low back pain, docs are telling them out there not to sleep too much. Now, it totally depends on what the back pain's from. Being a chiropractor, obviously, we would have to do a whole evaluation, take a history, do some tests to see what's going on. So I think that's a poor generalized statement. So I want to clear that up because that's on there as well, right? Sometimes it might be good for them to get more rest. It depends what it is. And sometimes it might be better for them to stay more active or to be more active during the day and then also get a lot of rest. Ding, ding, right? Stuff like that. As far as, this is what I was going to say before, as far as the amount of sleep goes, WebMD, again, they were recommending, 7 to 9 hours a night. If you ask me, I say no less than 8. No less than that 8 mark. Yeah, it falls in the average of what they were saying. But get at least 8. And, more than anything, listen to your body. And, despite the fact that we have just said that, being in a consistent schedule and you don't want to throw it off or something like that, you should still compensate for the fact if you've done something that was out of the ordinary in your consistent schedule the day before, that you would need more sleep because of that. You did an extra hard workout. You studied for 12 hours. You're used to studying for 2. You think you need to sleep the same amount? No. Do you feel you probably need more rest to compensate for that? I would think, common sense wise, right? Do you fill Maserati up with regular? No, So it's the same concept there. And that's what we got for you guys today. I thought it was an interesting topic. I'm talking about getting too much sleep potentially being bad. But again, it being, people that oversleep, these health issues like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, increased risk for death, there's so many other players, and most people that oversleep have low socioeconomic status and are depressed in the first place. So let's see who we got else. Martin, what's up, brother? How you doing? Hope you got something out of it, man. You keep doing you. You're doing great. And Ma, this one was for you. I love you. So that's why. And I saw you before, so I'm thinking of you. Hope you enjoyed this one too. You guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. And happy wellness. Thank you.